Question number 81. A generative AI engineer must protect a generative application from the adversarial user input designed to crash the system. What is the best defensive strategy? A. Train the model on the data set designed to handle adversarial input. Option B. Lower the model's response complexity to limit crash risk. Option C. Implement input validation rule to check the unexpected pattern and formats. Option C. Monitor the user input and log the suspicious activity. So the question asked is a generative AI engineer have to protect the application while a user input. So for that, which is the best defense strategy? C. Option A is used to train the model. Yes, we can train, but it's not best strategy. Option B, lower model response complexity. No, this is not the way we can do it. Option C, implement input validation user to check unexpected pattern and format. Yes, option C is the correct way. Why? Because this is the way by which we can validate the user input as well as unexpected pattern and format. So this is the correct answer, option C. Whereas option D is monitor the user input. What we will do if we will only monitor? A user can input whatever he wants. So unexpected things, unexpected pattern he can input. If we want monitor, then we can't do. We can't stop him to do same. So for that, correct answer is option C. Question number 82. A generative AI engineer must register a Python model that predicts employee attrition to unit catalog. The model includes pre-processing for the data normalization and post-processing for interpretable output. What steps should the engineer take? A. Skip metadata configuration and use the default setting for registration. Option B, skip logging to MLflow and directly register to model to unit catalog. Option C, use MLflow for logging but avoid registering the model to unit catalog. Option D, log the model to MLflow, configure the metadata and register it to the unit catalog. So for the option 1, not correct because metadata like schema, input, output format. It is essential for the discoverability and governance and reproductivity. So correct answer, option A is not correct answer. Option B, skip logging to MLflow and directly register to the model to unit catalog. This is wrong because MLflow is standard workflow for logging and versioning before unit catalog registration. Whereas if we talk about the option C, use MLflow for logging but avoid registering the model to unit catalog. Not correct. Unit catalog registration is required for governance, sharing, and secure access. Whereas option D is the log the model to MLflow, configure the metadata, and register to into unit catalog. Correct, because this is the full recommendation pipeline for the registering ML model with the governance and traceability. So yes, correct answer is the option D. Question number 83. A generative AI engineer is optimizing an LLM based system for summarizing academic paper. The summaries often miss key points for the result section. What strategies should they use? A. A summarize output prompt to save computation. Option B, use wedges prompt like summaries this paper. In option C, include the entire paper into prompt for the context. Option D, include section specific instruction in the prompt such as the focus on the result section. So the question asked is we have to create a summary of academic paper. So for that, what we need to do? Right. So let's talk about one by one option. Option A is not relevant because summarizing output prompt to save the computation means saving computational will not solve the problem of the missing result. Right. Option B use the wedges prompt like summaries Wages prompt doesn't clearly address the issue of missing section of a specific content. Whereas option C includes entire paper into prompt for the context. Could help, but it's not sufficient. It's insufficient. Token limit, unnecessary context dilution. Whereas option D includes the section specific instruction in the prompt, such as the focus on the result section. This is a best choice because prompt engineering with the section level focus ensure the model highlighting the result section explicitly. So the correct answer is option D. Question number 84. A generative AI engineer must create a system that provides multi-turn dialogue capability for customer support chatbot. The chatbot should maintain the context across The chatbot should maintain the context across conversation and handle the follow-up query. What tool is essential for maintaining context? A retrieval to fetch relevant past conversation. B. A memory should integrated into the LLM workflow to store and retrieve past interaction. Option C, a classification model to predict user intent and each query. Option D, a summarization model to condense the conversation history. So the question asked is a way by which a bot can support the customer as well as maintain the conversation history for follow-up. So for that, option A, retrieve to fetch relevant past conversations is not proper. This is okay, but it is not the way by which we can follow up. Option B, a memory module integrated into LLM for workflow to store the retrieve past conversations. Yes. Option B is the correct. Option C, a classification model to predict intents each query. No, this is also not. And a summarization model converts conversation history. This is also for the conversation. So correct answer is option B. Question number 85. A generative AI engineer must create a system that provides multi-turn dialogue capability for a customer support chat. The chatbot should maintain the context across the conversation until a follow-up query. What tool is the essential for maintaining context? A option, a retriever to fetch the relevant past conversation. B option, a memory module integrated into the LLM follow workflow to store and retrieve the past interaction. Yes, option B is the correct. Option C, classification model to predict. No, classification model will not work here. Option D, a summarization model to condense the conversation history. No, summarization model will also not work here because it's a need to get the history by which model can get a follow take follow. So correct answer is option B. Question number 86. A generative AI engineer must design a system that generates the customer response template based on the common queries. The template should include the resolution and the follow-up action. What pipeline component are necessary? So the question asked is to generate the template which include greetings, resolution, and follow-up. So for that, what we need to do? So option A is an LLM generate the template dynamically based on the query. Yes, LLM will generate the template based on the query. This is the correct answer. Option B, a summarization model to condense user query. No, summarization is used to summarize the query, so it will not work. We need to create the template. So creating the template, option A is the correct. Option C, a rule-based system that select predefined. Predefined template will not work here because it's a dynamic template we need to create. And there will be a few things will be or include like greetings, resolution or follow-up. So dynamic template is work, which is the based on the user query. Option D, a classification model. Classification is also not work here because classification need to classify the query. So correct answer is option A. Question number 87. A generative AI engineer tasked to fine tune the model to identify the key topics of technical documents. The dataset contains the unnecessary metadata such as the timestamp, author name. How should the engineer handle the processing? So very good way to remove all the unnecessary things. Option A, exclude numerical data, include timestamp. No, we need to remove unnecessary like timestamp at all. So option A is incorrect. Option B, retain metadata to provide context. No, retaining the metadata is the not proper way to do this. No. Option C, process the data without filtering. Without filter, things will be there unnecessary, like timestamp or author name. So option C is also incorrect. Option D, remove all the irrelevant metadata during the pre-processing. So yes, correct option is option D. Question number 88. A generative AI engineer deploying LLM based on the RAG application for the financial document analysis. The application must minimize the cost while the processing lengthy document. Which strategy are the most effective? Choose three. So the question asked is a generative AI engineer deploying LLM based RAG application. And that is the financial document analysis. So there should be any model which is the financial domain specific that will be the very effective for us because we need a cost effective. So option A, enable interface logging to monitor the query cost. Enabling interface logging to the monitor query cost, this is not the cost effective thing. This is only to monitor the thing. So option A is incorrect. Option B, use smaller LLM with high context length support to handle long input efficiently. Yes, option B is correct because we are using a small LLM. This is the cost effective and high context support to handle the long input. Yes, this is option B is the correct. Option C, optimize token uses for batching multiple query into the single request. So let us discuss next the two option as well. Option D, increase the context length, maximize the token usage each query. Option D, reduce the retrieval set size to minimizing the processing overhead. So we have to choose three options. So one is the option B, and option B after option B is correct, and now option C is optimize token usage by batching multiple query. Optimize, yes, we can optimize token. So option C is also correct. Now option D, increase the context length, maximize token uses for each query. And option E is reduce the retrieval set size to minimize the processing overhead. Yes. Option B, C, and E is the correct answer. E is reduce the retrieval set size to minimize the processing overhead. Overhead it's reducing, so option E is also correct. Whereas option D, increase the context length, maximize token size. No, no. If we will increase the context length, then it will not work for us. So correct answer is option B, C, E. Question number 89. A generative AI engineer must evaluate a data set for the legal risk before using it to train the language model. What key factors should they consider? So what is the question asked? Question asked is what is the important for the privacy, right? And what we should before the training the model, what we should evaluate. So option A, the presence of sensitive information in the dataset. This is important for the privacy compliance like GDPR. But the question is specific asked about the legal risk. What is the legal risk in terms of the dataset usage? So legal risk of the dataset use sensitive data fall more ethical and privacy risk than the licensing legality. So option A is incorrect. Option B, license term to the state permissible usage of any restriction on the data application. This is correct answer. Legal risk is using dataset comes primarily from whether the dataset is licensed properly or not. Right. If the license forbid the commercial use, demonstration or model training using it could be result of the lawsuits or the penalties. So option B is the correct. Option C, the model architecture being used for the training. This relate to the technical performance, not for the legal concern. So option C is incorrect. Now option D. Option D is the size of the data set to ensure it meet the training requirement. This is also the technical requirement, not for the legal one. So correct answer is option B. The license term that dedicate permissible uses and any restriction on the dataset application. Question number 90. A generative AI engineer must select an LLM for the question answering system about the medical guideline. The system need high accuracy and explainable output. Which LLM attributes should they prioritize? Option A, pre-trained enabled on the generic test. Okay. Option B, high perplexity to ensure the diverse response. Option C, model size and domain specific fine tuning. Option D, response speed and low latency. C. So the question asked is AI engineer is selecting a LLM for question answering of the medical guideline. So medical guideline user can ask few question and a model have to reply. So for that, and also he want that the high accuracy. So if you want high accuracy, so pre-trained model embedding is yes, embedding is something we are wherever we are storing data in model, then embedding is required. But pre-trained embedding is the generic test. No, generic test we don't know. We want a specific domain. So for that and high perplexity to ensure the diverse response. No, why we will use this one? We want the domain specific. So domain specific option C we have a model size and domain specific fine tuning. Yes, if domain specific we will get the model, then it will be cost effective as well as it will the proper fine tune. It will reply only the medical guideline question and this is a good option all of them. So correct answer is option C. Whereas we talk about option D, this is response speed and low latency. Response speed and low latency is something about the technical, what the response we are getting in terms of technical requirement it is, not it is related to the high accuracy related things, right? So correct answer is option C.